Hi everyone, my name's Yursa. Welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about pretty much, is GPU mining even makes sense at this point? You know, we've been in a bear market for quite a while now, and obviously things do seem a bit gloom for many of the miners out there, me included. However, I do want to mention that computer parts have also gone down in price since the whole bull market has pretty much come to an end, at least as of now. So it kind of like, is it going to balance it out, you know, for like if you were to build a whole new mining rig, does it kind of like the bear market and the lower GPU prices balance out in a sense where you can still profit? So we'll be going over pretty much a whole build of a whole GPU mining rig and also an ASIC mining rig for anyone who's interested in ASICs as well. We'll be going over the profitability of both and what would make sense for both of them. So we'll go over that right now. So let's get started. Most of the stuff I'm going to be utilizing in this video is just going to be from Amazon, since I know most people are going to be wanting to buy new. Most people probably don't want to buy used, but I do have a used option, and I'll show you guys in just a little bit of what that will look like. But we'll just go down the pieces real quick. Pretty much everything you would need for a whole GPU mining rig. It's not going to be anything special, anything per se pretty. It's just to get you up and going at the lowest cost possible. So first things first is going to be our Corsair power supplies. I am going to just be putting it in the calculator right here, so you guys will be able to see how much it's going to be ending up as a total once I add it all up. And this is going to be without tax, just because I don't know where you're buying from, and I'm not going to include shipping. So $119, we're going to add it to the next thing, which for our motherboard, I'm just going to use the Pro BTC. This board is going to give you all the space you're ever going to need for your GPUs. It's a really solid board. A lot of people like using it as well. It's going to work perfect for the processor I've selected and the RAM as well. So one nice thing though about this board is that you'll be able to use it a little bit more long term, because it has more slots available for GPUs. So that is something to keep in mind. For the GPUs, I'm going to be selecting the RX 580s. Once the bull market ended, there was just a flood of RX Vegas, RX 580s, 570s just coming into the market. So you can pick these cards up pretty cheap now, at least on Amazon right here, completely brand new. You can get them for 180, whereas, you know, we go back maybe a year ago, you're getting them for $400, $500, and it was crazy. But if you want to go even cheaper than that, and still get like a 580, you could go on eBay and buy on the used market. Some of them are even new, which is even cheaper. Like this one right here is around 170, so a little bit cheaper than buying on Amazon. But for a lot of them, you can actually get it even cheaper if you go used. I was seeing the average was around $120 to $140 per GPU, which is really not much when you compare it to when GPUs were at their high. Alright, so for the CPU, we're just going to do something really cheap, something basic, gets the job done, which is just going to be a Celeron processor. I think they actually have gone up a little bit in price for some reason. I used to be able to get them for around $45, but I can't really be complaining just because you can get all the other parts for so much cheaper now. So with that being said, you know, the $55. Just to add these prices up real quickly, keep up with that. So 54 for the motherboard, and then we're going to do the $180. You know, I also want to do like, you know, let's just do like a 6 GPU rig just to make things easy. We'll just do 180. I would do it times 6, but I think that's going to mess up the whole calculation. So I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way. Alright, should be 6. So far we're already at 1200, which is going to be more than the ASICs that I'm going to be showing you guys, but just to give you an idea, we'll go over the pros and cons of this a little bit later. And the processor was what? 56? Okay. And with the processor added, we're at 1300 right now. But if we go on to the next piece, which is going to be the power switch, this is $5 extra, not a big deal. You know, at this point, what's another $5? So we'll just add that on. And then we're going to get the GPU. I was going to say risers, but I guess we're doing the RAM first, which this was pretty much the cheapest RAM I could find. I mean, for being only $26, I mean, that's pretty solid. It's just 4 gigabytes, but that's really all you need when you're going to be doing mining anyways. You could go up to 8. Some people say you should do 8, but I think 4 is still sufficient. Get the GPU risers. This is going to be another $37 there. And then hopefully we're done with this build soon. I think we just got a couple more pieces. And we get a SSD. It's just a cheap one, just gets the job done. Since you're only going to be having the mining software basically on this computer, I wouldn't recommend putting on a wallet or anything. But I mean, if you wanted to, you could, because it has 120 gigabytes. It does have enough room, but you know, it's just a dedicated mining rig. So add that on. So we're at 1400 right now. And then we're going to do the GPU rig case. Now this is optional, you absolutely don't have to do this, but if you don't have a mining case, then you're going to have to make one. Roughly, just to give you an idea, it costs about $20 to make one if you're getting the scrap metal and just putting it all together. But that also takes your own time that you have to put into it making it, whereas this is pretty much already made. You just assemble it with some screws. It's really easy. So we'll just put on the 30. Yeah, so whereas we can compare the $1,400 to an ASIC that is $700. We'll go over the performance now, and we'll pretty much go through the pros and cons of, you know, is it really even worth mining at this point? So let's get right into the numbers. So let's say our hash rate is 180 with, you know, roughly, you know, 6 580s. I was able to get the price to 1434, so I'll change that here. And we're just gonna, for all our calculations, just assume there's a 1% pool fee. It really all depends what pool you end up doing, but I find that 1% is pretty standard. And then the power consumption, assuming you are pulling 100 watts per card, that we're just gonna say you're using about 700 watts of power. It could be more, it could be less. It all depends how well you modify your cards at that point, but I think 700 is just a good number to benchmark with. Of course, these are just estimated calculations. They're not going to be the exact thing you're going to be getting, but I am using Ethereum Classic as the coin we're mining because Ethereum recently had dropped their block reward even further. So right now I think Ethereum Classic would be the better coin to mine, but there isn't per se a great coin in general to be mining. But we'll go over more of the other things of, you know, what if you have an NVIDIA card and things like that just in a second. In terms of how much you're making every single day after electricity cost, you're going to be pulling in 55 cents, which of course is absolutely nothing, but you got to remember that we are in a bear market right now and probably getting closer to the bottom, if not the bottom of the bear market. I wouldn't be surprised if we're just going Bitcoin and all these other cryptocurrencies are just, their price are going to be going sideways for a while, kind of similar to how things were back in 2013, pretty much through up till 2017 as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if that were to happen, where it's pretty much just going sideways. But for the most part, you can see that, you know, it's not going to be a lot of money right now, but you would be going into cryptocurrency for the long-term gains. Obviously, there's no guarantee of returning on your investment, really, just because the break-even already is 2,623 days, which is extremely high already. And I would only imagine this number going up if the dollar amount keeps going down for all these coins as well. So that's just something to keep in mind. But if you are planning on holding on to these coins for the long term, you could be ending up making a good profit as well. And of course, you know, mining is a lot of fun too. So, you know, sometimes it's a little bit more enjoyable to mine the coin and just kind of have more fun with the tech side of it instead of just always buying the coin. Where right now I think buying the coin makes more sense compared to mining, because mining doesn't, in US dollars, doesn't make sense. But if you're looking at it from the standpoint of just having a little bit more fun, GPU mining still makes sense in that case then. But in terms of ASICs, because I was mentioning that also, you know, I brought up different ASICs as well. Antminer E3 is probably the most popular one, not per se the best one on the market, but it's the most popular that you can easily get your hands on. So for only $700, I did get the numbers in right here. So it's mining roughly 190 mega hashes per second. It's using about 760 watts, and it only costs you $700. So that is very, very nice. Assuming we have a pool fee of 1%, I'll just calculate it to update it to make sure we're up to speed. And we'll see right here that we're pulling in 51 cents every single day. Pretty similar to the break even. Now the break even is still pretty high at 1,369 days. You know, that's still a couple of years, and I can only imagine ASICs becoming more and more efficient to the point where this ASIC absolutely makes no sense, and it will be crushed by every single other ASIC that comes along. So that is something to keep in mind if you are purchasing one of these Antminers or any other ASICs in general, where they have a pretty short lifespan before the new one comes out and completely replaces it. So that is something to remember. Now, I know there's also the A10 ETH Master. Now, not many people can probably get their hands on this ASIC in general. I haven't really been able to find many places that do have it, but in terms of what we are seeing right here, we're getting up 485 mega hashes per second with a power consumption of 850 watts. So this is significantly higher than the E3 from Antminer. And with those numbers, we're going to be pulling in $3.46 every single day with current market prices, which happen to be very low right now. Just imagine if Bitcoin 10x or all these cryptocurrencies 10x their price right now, we'd be pulling in $34 every single day. In that case, it might potentially make sense of if you're buying these for the long term and you're kind of just hoping on it. You're basically just gambling with some educated guesses at that point. So that's just something to keep in mind. And again, like, this ASIC just proves my point, which is, the Antminer was pretty much obsolete pretty quickly when you compare it to the ETH Master. Only pulling a little bit more power out of the wall, but we're, over doubling the hash rate as well. So things like that shows that ASICs don't really last you very long. Nice thing though about the GPUs is that they generally, in most cases, will have a better resale value compared to an ASIC. In most cases, I'm going to say the RX 580s, 570s are like an exception because they completely flooded the market because that's what everyone was using for mining. Most cards in general, they hold their value a little bit better than the ASICs. So you'll be able to at least get your money, or at least cut your losses if you were to sell in a negative. Whereas in ASIC, you're really taking a loss for the most part. Now, as for the people who are looking for the newer cards, and if you're really serious about mining, there are options for you. The RX 280 Ti is an incredible card, but also comes at quite a hefty price right now at $1,400. I personally think this is extremely overpriced right now, but it is pulling in some pretty incredible numbers, and I'll show you what we got right now. So just going on what to mine, we're just going to GPU real quick. I'll just plug in the numbers as if you were to actually be using a full rig of 280 Ti. So let's just say we're doing 6 of them. I think the most profitable coin for it is gonna be Grincoin. Nvidia tends to be doing better at these. It's not so great at like Ethash or anything like that at this point. And if we're looking at right here, we're seeing that Ravencoin is one of the more profitable ones, and Grin as well. We're just gonna do Grin for today, just because Ravencoin is kind of jumping up and down all the time right now. Grin's been relatively at the top of what to mine. With 6 280 Ti's, it's going to be mining at 57 hashes a second, and it's going to be pulling 1300 watts from the wall. So bring it over to Grincoin. We're going to plug in the number, so 57 hashes a second, and put in the correct wattage. The hardware cost, let's just say it's like 7,000 just for the GPUs alone, and maybe for the rest of the computer, let's just say it costs you another $600. So $7,600. Just say pool fee of 1%. We're going to calculate that, and we're going to see we're only pulling in $4 in profit every single day, and that's with one of the most profitable coins that Nvidia cards can be mining at this very second. And at the very end of the year, with only bringing in $1,000 in profit, your break-even time is 1,781 days, which isn't very good at all, especially when you're purchasing quite expensive GPUs as well, which I could only imagine going down in price within a couple months as well. So at this point, I think going for the Nvidia's top-end cards, such as the 280 Ti, makes absolutely no sense for mining at all. Great for gaming, great for everything else, but just not mining, at least right now, just because these numbers right now just aren't pulling in really anything good at all. Even let's just say that Grincoin was 10 times more profitable than it is right now, you're still only pulling in $10,000 a year, which may sound like a lot, but remember, you just spent $7,000, nearly $8,000 on your whole mining rig. You're really not ending up with much money in the end, and that's assuming that it stays at 10 times more profitable and doesn't get more difficult as difficulty goes up for that coin. The only time it really does make sense at this very point in the bear market is potentially doing solo mining or just mining for a smaller coin that really just hasn't gained much traction yet, to the point of where it could potentially multiply in price quite quickly. That's the only reason why I could see GPU mining being quite profitable at this very point. But if you're going for more of your larger coins such as Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, things like that, it doesn't really make sense at this very point, unless you're planning on holding on to those coins for the long term. If that's the case, then yes, GPU mining does make sense. But I hope you do like paying for high electricity bills with no per se US dollar revenue coming in as well. So if you can deal with that, then potentially mining makes sense, but you could have just bought in the coin and just held on to it for the entire time. But that's just my 2 cents on that. As for the ASICs, right now, the E3, you're pretty much in the negative as of now, for a while. And it seems like the profitability is just going down further and further as the months go along. So I don't see a bright future for the E3. And I also don't see much of a great future either for the 810 ETH Master. Not to say that these ASICs can't be profitable. They can be, but they require a bull market to make that happen. And even at that point, is it even really worth it? You could have just bought the coin that you were trying to mine right now, held on to it, and probably would have 3x'd it on the way up instead of you just trying to break even as the bull market comes along. But that's my opinion. I mean, you're dropping thousands of dollars and you're only making what, $3.30 a day. I mean, that's nothing. I don't think that's a great investment of your money at all. Do what you want. I will leave all the links for all the products if you want to check them out for yourself, but at least right now I don't think mining makes any sense in terms of US dollars. If you're mining for small coins, could make sense, and if you're mining for the long term, could make sense. But I don't want to guarantee anything, because we never really know how long it's going to take for crypto to come back into a bull market. Could take years. So if you can take the hit for years, then yeah, you could come up on top in the end. But for all that time you were waiting, there's a huge opportunity cost by you doing that. So, but in the end, that's pretty much your choice of what you want to do. I think any of them makes sense if you can justify a good reason and a good coin. Potentially mining does still make sense, but for the majority of us, I'm gonna say it's probably time to turn off the mining rigs, at least for the time being, if you're looking just for the US dollar profits. So that pretty much wraps up this video. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Please like and subscribe, as I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers, and I'll see you guys in the next one.